Hello, welcome back to Lample Stock with your host, me, and of course my husband. And we're going to be giving, I guess, a sort of a testimony about our experiences being in this faith,
Yeah, that's the way to do that. Okay,
right?
so if we start off, if we kind of think about it, we started off about almost 10 years ago. It was almost
You
10 years
it's
ago.
been longer than 10 years, but you
Okay,
always say 10 years
okay,
ago.
okay. We're rounding
Year
it to
one, you were like 10 years ago.
no, no. That's not true. Okay, so let's say what 15 years ago. 15 years ago.
Um,
Okay, let's say 15 years ago. Sake of argument, 15 years ago. And um, we had kind of, coming into the truth, uh, we had come from, we'd come from different backgrounds.
right?
So my background, um, just slightly here, my background was, I was an atheist almost. I believe,
Almost.
yeah, I believed that there was a God. I just didn't believe he cared about me. And that's, so I didn't really care about him because he didn't care about me. Um, but your background's a little different.
Yeah, I was Christian. I have relatives that are pastors. My granddad, who I lived with, my grandparents, my granddad was a deacon, and I spent a lot of my time in the Baptist church doing one thing or another. So when I met him and we started to date, I told him I couldn't date him if he didn't if he didn't start following or believing in God. So
Well, see, now, I already believed that there was a God, so that hurdle was easy.
yeah,
Yeah, that part was easy. It was just trying to believe in him that he actually cared about me. That was a whole different ballgame. But we're not going to spend a whole lot of time. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on how we got to this point. I want to talk a little bit more about after being in this point because um, there are people, there's Israelites out there that are starting off, going through their walk themselves, and to me, testimonies of what people have gone through can help you in your own walk. Can help a person in their own walk, and
it helps to see that someone else has gone through the same struggles as you. It also helps to sometimes laugh at other people.
right, absolutely, absolutely. So when we first started off, um, the first hurdle, the first thing that we came up against was the dietary laws.
Right.
So, and I think this is where everybody starts. So they go, oh, wait, I get it. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. What's that mean? Well, you gotta follow the laws. Okay, no problem. What are they? you know, well, you have the Big Ten, which I think most people can pretty much figure out. Okay, I can do those. And then you go, what's next? And for us, the first thing was the end of bacon.
No, I never
Oh,
was a
oh
big
well.
fan of bacon.
Now wait a minute.
It
For
was
me, it was the end of bacon.
it was
For
sausage. I ate that for breakfast, lunch, snack, first dinner.
there was a lot of sausage. There's a lot of sausage in our refrigerator. A lot of sausage in our refrigerator. But giving up, changing what we ate, was a huge hurdle for us in the beginning, because it would be, that was the thing we talked about. We would, when we were talking ourselves, the most often. So, what do you remember about before? Bacon, you know.
Yeah, it was the hardest hurdle, I think, because Christmas, Easter,
No,
those
no,
were rough.
no. Wait a minute. Now, hold on a second. Before we get into Christmas and Easter, going to Wendy's go into Wendy's, and now everything has bacon on the menu. So I don't go to Wendy's almost ever. Although you can get stuff without it, I don't go. Um, but I remember right after we first decided, okay, we're done. No more bacon. This is it. No more pork products. We're gonna stop. I go with our daughter to Taco Bell. I don't know if you remember this. Went to Taco Bell and got some crunch wrap, something like that, chocked full of bacon. I mean, it was that day. It wasn't that day. It was probably like the next day or whatever it was. And I kept thinking to myself, "Oh my God! I mean, we just did this. We just made this decision." And I bought. I had no idea that crunch, the word crunch, just means bacon. I mean, that's just it now. Crunch,
So he
whatever it
says.
is. At the time, I did not.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. I really didn't. But that was a huge thing. Was all of the things that have pork in it, and having to go through every product ever.
Oh yeah, getting a beef jerky stick and realizing that it had pork in it.
Oh no, no. Going to this is a more recent part of it, but going to Golden Corral where we live at now, and literally seeing the signs on every single product, macaroni and cheese has bacon in it. Green beans, okay, that one has pork fat. I can at least guess that, but macaroni and cheese threw me in left field. Why? And they don't. It's not that it's in it. It's that it was. What did they say? They use the same pans, and it could be, and it could be in it. And then when you looked at it, you saw literal bacon chunks in it, all over the place. And I was like, what? Why are we putting bacon in macaroni and cheese? Same thing when we went to, we go out to eat, and they'll put bacon in things you just never would think of.
Well, since we've been where we are, the food here just isn't good anyway. But I know it was very hard for me to get rid of my sausage. I almost cried when I had to throw away all the sausage I had in the freezer. But that was another big issue. Pork is cheap.
Yep. Yep.
And having to deal with having that extra expense when we went to the grocery store because we couldn't buy pork was a big issue.
Oh yeah, it was huge. It's absolutely huge. Okay, now I'm ready to go for this next one because that's the next thing that happened. Setting the kids down and saying and explaining we're Israelites and kind of walking through the whole idea of being Israelites and then saying to them, these worldly holidays, we're not going to celebrate them anymore.
Yeah, but we did that before we got rid of the pork, and it was a lot easier than getting rid of the pork. It was hard for me, for years. I got real depressed, and that first year I think I cried because I felt like my kids were missing out on something when we first got rid of celebrating Christmas. However, my kids came through like a champ because they didn't seem to care at all that we weren't celebrating Christmas anymore. They did miss the food, though, the family time and the food, but the other holy days, they have always preferred them to the holidays we used to celebrate.
Once we started doing Sukkot and actually getting into it and understanding what it was all about, and God's camp out, the kids look forward to it every single year. I mean, that's the big one for us is Sukkot. Everybody gets together for that one, and the blowing of trumpets. That's the other one.
Okay, so we all live together.
Yeah.
We always get together for all of them.
No, I mean I know that, but that's where they really shine because our kids really like this year. They everybody jumped in building the Sukkot and trying to get everything together for it and getting the lights up and the whole bit and had a ball.
Right.
Actually doing the holiday of Sukkot.
So then we decided, well, things are getting bad, and I still say that we have to build Noah's Ark. And what I mean by that is God told Noah that he was going to destroy the earth by flood. He needed to build an ark, and there were things that he needed to do. So, of course, God says he's not going to destroy the earth by flood anymore, but he is going to destroy the earth again. And so I tell my kids that we have to learn how to live when the conveniences of this world go away, and we need to prepare for it in some way.
Okay, so let me set up the scenario here. How, even though you say that, God decided to make that a reality very quickly. So we were living, at the time, we were living in a rather large house, nice yard, crappy neighborhood, but we had a pretty large house. We have a lot of kids. But anyway, it was pretty big. The place we were at was pretty big.
Right.
And because of, how do I want to put this? Well, we ended up having to move from that particular place to a town. We ended up moving to town. Yeah, because we lived kind of in the suburbs, and we ended up moving literally downtown.
Yeah.
In another place. But the house was bigger, which was great. The house was bigger. The yard was bigger. We had almost an acre and a half at that point.
Right.
And that's when we really decided, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to plant the yard. We're going to grow a huge garden out back and start learning how to can and learning how to save food. This is what we're going to do.
Right. Now, mind you, my husband and I both come from upper middle class families, I would say, and I was taught that you didn't need to really know how to do anything. You just needed to pay somebody. So that was my philosophy in life. Let's pay somebody to get it done. And then we decided, to be a part of this faith, and times being what they were, you gotta do stuff, you gotta work, so we wanted to grow a garden. And we both had, my family owned a farm, and his parents, they owned a farm, so
right.
We both grew up around people farming.
Yeah, but see, I was the complete opposite of you, because I was taught you have to be in the world and you have to learn whatever the world wants you to do. So, I went to college, and I'm over here going to school, and when given the opportunity to learn about the farm, I was like, nope, not doing that. When I was young, I was like, nope, not gonna, they had cows, they had tobacco, and I was like, I'm gonna go get a job. I'm not doing this.
And I was a girl, so they didn't really come to me and with this, come on, I want to teach you how to do it. Because one, I wasn't going to. I wasn't getting dirty like that. I'd play football, but I wasn't taking in no dirt.
Maybe some flag football or something.
And two, I just didn't care because I had, life. So I never really paid attention.
So we decided to go on and plant, I guess it was like 3/4 of an acre of a garden. So we hired somebody to come out there and till the ground. And then we went and literally planted everything we could think of. We had carrots and tomatoes and kohlrabi and beans and greens. We had it all. We planted everything out through there. And we were really blessed. We planted sunflowers too. I have to bring that up. So we were really blessed with the way this particular garden came out, because all kinds of stuff grew in it.
Yeah, and I was giving food away to people in the neighborhood, to the church down the street. It was wonderful.
And we still had some visitors. We still had visitors. What we ended up having was somebody. It wasn't really fenced off like. It was in town. This was in the middle of the town that we were in. It's a small town, but it was in the middle of that town. And somebody came through and stole greens, even though we were giving them away. We went to a point where we ended up planting tomatoes out in the front of the yard with a sign that said "Just take what you want,"
Yeah.
because people were still taking food out of the back. And this is years ago, so food wasn't even like it is today. But in any event, like I said, we were really blessed with that very first harvest.
Right. Right. So we were trying to learn farming, and we were trying to learn different herbs from medicine because I stopped believing in doctors and decided I was going to trust in God. So we tried to learn what medicines heal and what medicine, well, not what medicines, I'm sorry, what herbs do this and what herbs do that, and start to use those for different issues. And that first year, as my husband said, it was great.
And calamity struck. That's the only way to explain this. Uh, Family members stepped in and destroyed everything. We lost the house completely, and as I said, we have a lot of kids, and we were all shoved into from that was a 2-story, 6 or 7 bedroom home
Yeah, with the full basement.
with a full basement to a Cracker Jack box.
A shotgun house, for those of you who know what that is.
We were squeezed into, now we had 6 bedrooms and we filled them, and we were squeezed into a 3 bedroom box. That's the only way to describe it. Our yard went from, like I said, an acre to like nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like nothing.
Yeah,
It
you
was,
could put your hand out the window and touch the house next door.
it was so small, and it was smack in the middle of town. I mean,
Well,
the-
it was like 3 streets away from where we lived.
that's true. That's
But
true.
it was a little rougher where we ended up going.
It
And my
was-
husband's trying to be nice. The calamity was his mother.
I'm trying.
The calamity was his mother. His mother hates me. She always has. And I thought, being a good Christian, that, well, she hates me now. And yes, she does everything she can to break us up. But once we get married, that'll stop because she's a Christian. Well, it got worse after we got married. It got a lot worse after we got married.
Well, and it got even worse once we became Israelites.
Right.
You know,
So we ended up having to move because she owned the house and we were buying it from her. But she got mad at me because I wouldn't do what she wanted, and so she decided to kick me out of the house.
Yeah.
But just me.
And that was not gonna work. That was not gonna work. So we ended up moving into this. By the way, that's going to come back to the story. This is going to be a recurring theme. So anyway, we now live in at this point
A 3-bedroom shotgun house
Right.
with 8 of us living in the same place.
Like
and
I
our
said,
yard was like, extremely thin and small. So we thought, well, we can't do the garden anymore. What can we do? And I thought, you know what? Chickens.
Oh my
I'm gonna
God.
get some chickens.
Oh my God! So I think we started out with like 7 or 8 chickens.
No, well, we got the barnyard package. It had 2 geese,
That's right.
4 ducks, and like 10 chickens, and we got a couple of turkeys.
Well, we ended up getting turkeys. We didn't start with turkeys, did we?
No, we started with turkeys because when they first came, we couldn't tell the difference between the chickens and the turkeys.
That's right. No, we got them from Tractor Supply. And
No. That I ordered them online.
oh, that's right. That's when we were getting them literally out of the mailbox.
That's right.
They were mailing us. That's crazy. They were mailing us animals. But so I don't know how many we started out with total. But it was next to nothing. And this is also when we got dogs. This is our
Right.
first. We first got a dog. No, we actually got a dog at the previous house.
We had one at the previous house, and then
Yeah.
we ended up getting a couple more once
Yeah.
we got there. How, I don't know.
Dog. Oh, I know. I'll tell you exactly how in a moment. But anyway, how we ended up with how many we got. But anyway, so We got it. We got it. We had a dog. We had some turkeys. We had some chickens and ducks, and we built
Two geese.
and two geese. We built a little pen for them, and then we expanded that pen, and then we expanded the duck pen, and then we expanded some more.
Right.
to
So our whole tiny backyard was filled with chicken pens.
Yeah, we ended up with 40 chickens, I think, at one point. 10 ducks, 3 turkeys.
No, we had more than 3 turkeys. We had 2 geese and I don't know, about 7 turkeys.
We had
6 or 7 turkeys.
We had quite a bit. So we lived there for a year.
2 years.
Was it 2?
Yeah, she causes problems every 2 years. So
So anyway, we had all these animals, and as we were trying to make this all work, this is also where we really started to embrace being Israelites. So this is a crazy story. So we had decided that television had some real issues with it. And the issues with television was you turn it on, and just like what it says, it's just sitting there programming you and showing you a lot of times the most horrific things in the world. And it may not even be the show that you picked. Now, if you have television in your house, you have to make decisions about what you're going to do. But what would happen for us is our kids would turn one show on, whatever it may happen to be. And it wasn't necessarily the show they turned on that was the problem. It was the one that would come on after it, or the one that might come on 3 or 4 shows after it, something to that effect, that would be showing you God knows what. So as a family, we all got together, talked about it a little bit. I'm gonna tell you why I'm about to cry about this for just a second. So talked about it for a little bit, and we decided that all the televisions had to go. And when we were reading the Bible over this particular thing about how we were going to do it, are we going to sell them? What are we going to do with them? We decided to make a big, I don't know what, a big production out of it. And all the kids and us got together, lined all of our televisions up, and chucked rocks at them.
Right, because the Bible says, burn stuff that is evil, but if we had set them on fire, we would have gone to jail. So we just trashed them because we didn't want to give something that we were getting rid of because we thought it was evil to someone else.
Exactly. And this is when I was a little kid, I had a dream of getting a 50-inch television. And right before we make this decision, it wasn't a week. It wasn't long at all. Right before I just got this 50-inch television. But it was great. We had a great time, all of us, outside. We made a whole day of it. We went outside, everybody chucking rocks at their televisions and letting them all go. And we haven't had television by itself since.
Right. That was difficult for them, but it's not as bad as it might seem because we all have computers.
Yeah.
We all have computers, and so it's not that we feel like you can't watch anything. It's just that you need to be picking specifically what you watch, and we only watch certain shows. There's a lot of stuff, especially this newer stuff, that we just refuse to watch because of all the evil that's in it.
Right. So after that, so we stayed there for, like she said, 2 years, right? And I did some good stuff there, but we really were outgrowing. We moved in outgrowing that place.
Right.
In all reality.
We had a lot of the stuff that we had accumulated, like the kids, what is it? The hockey table thing or whatever. We just had to throw away. So we lost a lot of our stuff. Each move that we made.
Yeah, each move is you're going to see they get progressively less and less.
Yeah.
They get easier and easier to move, which is
right.
the best way to describe it.
It gets easier to let go of everything.
Yeah.
And while we were there, I had decided, well, silver. Maybe we should collect some silver or something. So I had collected silver items from different places, cups, plates, different things like that, because it was going to be part of, things get bad, maybe I can trade it. So
Right.
a lot of those things that we had collected like that and stuff, we just had to dump because there was no room for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we literally lived in it. I mean, it was just enough for everybody to sleep in it. That was it.
Right.
That was really all we had. So, we got with your family this time, and we got to move to your family's farm.
Right.
And now, when I describe this, you're just gonna have to, kind of paint it with your eyes. So this is a 20-acre, 30-acre sprawling area, trees, a little forest. It had been used for planting, all those type of things. But it was 2 bedrooms. 3. No, it's 3 bedrooms.
It was
3 bedrooms, and nobody had lived in it for like
15 years.
Yeah, for a long time.
So we used to raise cows, so there was some remnants of fence in some places.
There was a barn, but you didn't want to walk in it.
Yeah, because it was going to fall over.
True.
The vultures had taken it over.
And there was a hole in it. That's the only way to describe it.
There was no running. There was a well, a cistern is what we had for water, but it was in disrepair, so we had to go in and try to fix it, but you didn't want to drink the water that was coming out of it.
True. We ended up bringing in, I had a truck, an old truck at the time, and I would get off work and pick up 100 gallons of water and bring it home and dump it into the well before I came in. And that's how we did water. We did that for a long time.
Yeah, so taking baths, washing clothes, all of those things became a huge issue.
Yep.
Because of the inaccessibility to just cutting on the sink and there's this water flowing.
Right. And the rooms were tiny. Our room
was big.
Yeah, but the kids split 2 rooms that were Cracker Jack boxes.
Yeah, that's 6 kids. So the bedrooms were bedrooms and the living room was a bedroom.
Yeah, we luckily didn't have a kid sleep in the kitchen because almost, but if they had to spread out anymore, that's where it would have been. But we did. Oh man, they were literally packed in there like sardines.
Right, and then we tried to do growing food again, and didn't work out as well.
But it worked.
In some places, it worked. It worked pretty good, but then in other places, the places that we tried that was historically where my family did their little garden, it didn't work out at all over there.
No, but the front yard worked.
Yeah, the front yard was great. And we tried animals.
No, we didn't try animals. They moved in.
Well, no, we tried animals. It's just that the animals that were already there kept killing and eating.
Yes, but we went from 2 or 3 turkeys, maybe 4, to more. We had more turkeys. We had more chickens. Chickens would roost everywhere. Literally, they'd roost on the cars. The turkeys would guard the front yard.
Right. Anybody that came up, they would encircle them, clucking.
Absolutely. This is also where we got our first goats.
Right. Which, was not very successful.
Right.
Because the first ones we got, it got really cold one night and they died.
Yeah.
So it was a rough start.
True, true. This is where we first learned to gather and keep rainwater. Where we at first decided that water coming from the sky, coming from the Most High, could be caught and could be used, and we needed it badly. Every time it rained, it was a huge blessing because that meant we didn't have to bring water in that day. You know, that was awesome. Um, this is also where we got dogs.
Yeah,
Every
a lot
kid,
of dogs. Every kid had
every
a dog.
kid got a dog, and wow, that was tremendous. A bit, you know, trying to teach the kids responsibility and letting them help raise a dog is hard. It is very hard, especially when you got six of them, you know, plus our own. So you know that was a huge event.
So we had a lot of successes, or we learned a lot, but it was very difficult. I didn't realize how many things will just come and kill your birds, because in the city you don't have all of those animals around. You know, you don't have them around as much where you have to worry about it. But everything was killing our our birds, and we had rabbits for a little while
That's
too.
right. Now I've got to bring up your favorite thing.
But
Now, many of you, you know, just barely know her, but my wife's favorite animal ever is James. Tell me, okay, let's tell everybody about James.
James is a raccoon. My daughter called me up. She was an EMT. She called me up and she said, "Mama, this guy has these two baby raccoons because their mother died, and I want to know if you want them." And I was like, "Hell yeah!" So she brings these raccoons home that night, and I was just mesmerized by them. They were great. Unfortunately, the female, she stayed sick,
Right.
and then I was trying to kind of push them out of the house because I'd already bottle fed them and they were getting bigger, and it was about time for them to start, you know, going out on their own, because I didn't want to just completely tame them. I wanted them to still be wild, and so I would push them out of the house, and we found her dead.
Yeah, she didn't make it.
Yes, I don't know if she fell off the roof. It seemed like maybe she fell off the roof of the house and died. But James, the male, he
He moved in and became one of our kids.
yeah,
That's the
our
only way to
house
describe it.
was in disrepair, and like I said, I didn't know much about fixing stuff up, and neither does my husband. So we would try to work on this and work on that, and we ended up spending a lot of money to continue to spend a lot of money because we could never really figure out how to patch the roof or.
Oh, it was a total money pit, total money pit. But James had a great time in the attic. James had a great time crawling under the house. James had a great time everywhere.
Yeah, so I read that once they become like a year, the males want to mate and they become real aggressive and mean if they can't. So I kept trying to kick him out so that he would go and be wild, but I'd kick him out and he would just come back in.
Yep. Yep. He would come back. He would come back and he was great. He would come by. No, I say he was horrible, but you loved him, and so that's great. But he would come by and steal food off your plate, and
he would go and, you know, you'd set something out to unthaw, and he would go and he would open up the package and seal it.
yeah.
Then he'd run underneath my bed or underneath the dresser or to eat it.
Yeah. But he would come out and watch TV with you. Well, he would come out and sit by on your computer and watch you whatever you were doing, and it was crazy. It was absolutely
he
crazy.
Would pee on you sometimes because that's how they say that you belong to them. He would always knock stuff down. He was a menace.
He was. But now, you know, even though I have issues with James, even though I had all kinds of issues with him, I know that you absolutely loved him, and he was a huge blessing to the house. Sure, he was a menace, and sure, he threw things all over the place. But the kids playing with him, because James was not mean. I mean, I talk about how he would take your stuff and he would do all these type of things, but he wasn't mean in any way, shape, or form. He would nibble at your fingers and stuff like that, but he was not mean. And he was a ball to have around. The kids would literally leave stuff and he would go get it and bring it to you, all kinds of things. They're smarter than dogs. That's the only way I can describe them.
They're extremely smart. I treated him like my child, so if he did something wrong, I'd spank him. And sometimes he would turn as if he was going to attack me, but once I'd run up on him, he would run away.
I mean, he would only fit in a shoebox. Let's not be confused. And but anyway, I bring that up that he was a huge blessing at the time. So, this particular house, things were going along pretty good. I mean, the thought was that we were having at the time, we were going to stay. We're going to stay here forever. We're going to fix this place up. We're going to make this happen. If you're thinking of the time frame, this is when we started the channel.
Right. We started the channel.
That was in 2018. In this month, by the way. I just looked. I just checked. But anyway, that's when we started the channel because we really did think this is where we're going to be staying. And it was time to really start trying to share what it was like being a Hebrew Israelite, what we were doing, what we were thinking, and try to get other people to think about it. And the Most High, I say through my mother, took it all away. That's the only way to describe it. This particular one, I'm not trying to get into, but my family coordinated an event that forced us to have to move. And at that point, we had to leave right then and there, and all we had was a truck and no place to go, and we had to leave everything.
So why are you not going to say what she did?
Well, okay. So basically what she did was she used the fact that our house was in very poor repair and we had been trying to fix it, and said, okay, listen, I want to take your kids, and if you don't, we're going to call Child Protective Services because I can prove that your house isn't fit as it ought to be. And she has a lot of money, and there was no way we were going to win against her.
Right. We homeschool because the things that they teach in school are not things that I want my children to know or to learn. So we had taken them out of school, and she didn't like that. And it was just another excuse or a way for her to, she felt like me and my husband were now a lost cause because we were, a part of that internet religion, but she could save the children.
Yeah, and that was literally what it was. And she basically came to us and said, you're going to do this or I'm going to take your kids away.
And at that point, we didn't have a lot. Our house was in disrepair, but every dime we had that was extra, we used to try to repair it. But we still fell at that. And I don't work. I can't tell you the last time I did work, but my husband.
I can. Denny's.
Yeah, a lifetime ago. But my husband, on the other hand, because of the way, because we became Israelites, he ended up constantly having, when we moved, switch jobs.
Yeah.
But also the jobs that he was able to get weren't as good as the jobs he was able to have before, when he could work on Saturday.
Right. Yeah. I could make a lot of money if I was willing to just not be at home most of the time, or if I was willing to work, if I was willing to break the law. I mean, when I say break the law, I mean the Most High's law, working on the Sabbath and those type of things. If I was willing to do that, I'd make a lot more money. But not willing to do that means a lot less money.
Right.
You know,
So we were struggling. We've been struggling since we became
Israelites.
Israelites. Yeah. So we've been struggling, and so when she came with that, we just felt like we couldn't win. We couldn't, or at least I wasn't sure if I could win, and um, giving up my children was not a possibility.
Now, wait, I gotta say this. So, what we did was we sat all the kids down and re-explained our lifestyle, talked about what it was we believe, why we believe it. If you've been watching the channel, you hopefully you understand that we're Israelites and we believe the Most High's law comes first. That's it. You know what the Most High wants is what comes first. Um, Forget about this world. But we gave all of our kids the option. You know, we set them all down and said, you know, you stick with us. You, we're going to be poor. We don't know where we're going to be, and we don't know what we're going to have.
Yeah, so my
And
husband called me up and said, well, my dad just brought me this ultimatum. What are we going to do? And he came home from work, and I said, okay, fuck it. We're just going to pack up what we can, put it in the car, and we're leaving. And so then we went to our kids, and we were talking about them. We said that we're getting ready to be homeless. So if you don't want to come with us, we understand. You can go and stay with your grandmother because she has plenty of everything, and that's what she wanted anyway. And so, because we didn't know where we were gonna go,
we didn't know what we were
what
going
was
to do.
going to happen.
Nothing.
And
And
we only had a truck.
yeah. So I quit my job that day. You know, there was no 2 week notice. It was we're done. We quit our job that day and asked all the kids to sleep on it and think about it. And we took basically the clothes on our back and like a bag and our computers because the kids took the computers.
Right.
And that was it. I mean,
Yeah,
we had.
she told us on a Thursday, and she was coming on a Monday.
Yeah.
With the forms for us to sign over custody for our children.
Yeah. She was very clear too. She was very clear. Do this or else. That was it.
Yeah.
That was
You either sign over your kids to me, or I'm going to call Child Social Services, and they're going to take them away and give them to me.
Yeah.
So
It was horrible. It was a horrible event. So we lost everything. We went from 30 acres and animals and a farm and the whole bit to nothing. We ended up moving in with your mother,
right.
and she has had a 2 bedroom, and she has a 3 bedroom. So we all moved into 2 bedrooms in the middle of another town, far away from where we lived at. Knew nobody except for her.
Well, it wasn't all of us because my husband had a truck, and my daughter, my oldest child, she's an adult, and we all lived together. But she had a car, so we packed into her car and my husband's truck, and we all came down here, but her, because she was working and she didn't want to leave just yet.
Yeah.
She's with us now, but at first she didn't come down, so there was only 7 of us.
Oh yay! It was so great. And once again, packed in like sardines, literally packed in like sardines. But we left everything. We left our daughter with the animals so that she could take care of them or sell them or whatever she could do, and we just came down here with literally the clothes on our backs, and each one of us had like a backpack, and that was about it. I mean, we didn't have much of we brought no furniture, we brought nothing. We left everything because we left within 24 hours. I mean, we were gone within 24 hours. We had nothing.
Right.
And at the time, at least from my point of view, it was a nightmare because everything that we had built up, everything we had put together throughout our entire relationship, we lost. We lost it all.
Yeah.
You know, And to go from, you know, providing for your family and being, you know, semi-successful at it to living literally on the handouts of someone else was horrifying. I mean, it was horrifying. I mean, because we had literally nothing, and if she had not given us a place to be, we would have been on the street.
We would have been living under a bridge somewhere. But God did bless us, and she let us come in. You know, because we left in 24 hours, so that's how much notice she had.
Yeah, that was it. That was absolutely it.
And of course, we're Israelites, but my mother's not. And having to move in, I had gotten rid of all of my dolls and my collections.
Oh, we have to talk about that.
Of
Because, okay, so back when we first became Israelites, I guess we skipped this part, but back when we first became Israelites, well, before we were Israelites, we had a lot of, shall we say, well, we just had a lot of collections, a lot of stuff that had nothing to do with being Israelites, and in some cases, just being against it. I mean, would be against it. So, like, I had comic books, and I had a lot of stuff.
Go ahead and say it.
No, I mean, I had comic books and posters and what are you trying to get me to say?
Your porn?
I didn't. No, stop. No, stop. Don't try to sell me. Don't try to sell these people. I didn't have a big bunch of porn. Let's not get confused. Stop.
All of those magazines that you were collecting.
I had been collecting. Hey, listen, I read Playboy for the articles. They're excellent.
Of course.
And I had several of them. True. All right. I did. That's all right. Let's go on and talk about you, little miss. Break rule number 2. So, don't look at me like that. So, you know, you had a whole collection of something else, didn't you?
Right. I had a big collection of dolls, porcelain dolls, because my grandmother collected porcelain dolls. Sorry, my great grandmother collected porcelain dolls. So I had a huge collection of porcelain dolls, and that, you know, meant a lot to me. I'd been collecting them for years. I'd spent a lot of money because I only had black or Indian porcelain dolls, and I had to get rid of all of them because I felt like it was idol worship. You know, God says, don't make anything in the image of this, in the sky, the land, the sea, whatever. And so I felt like dolls were breaking that commandment, and so I got rid of those. That was my big collection. And then me and my husband both had a lot of swords and stuff that we collected. Swords and katanas and
just all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. I mean, we had a large amount of crap. I mean, that we had kept, and we had to leave it all behind.
Yeah.
You know, we left everything. We didn't even take a bed. We didn't take furniture. We took boxes of clothes.
We did take blankets though, because I wasn't sure we weren't going to be sleeping outside. So I wanted to have something to be able to cover up with.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, me and my mom, we've always had this kind of not wonderful relationship, and having to depend on her was very difficult for me. Emotionally, mentally, it was a big ordeal. Thankfully, our relationship is better now.
Right. Well, it was forced to be.
Well, yeah.
It was forced to be. Because now, like she said before, so now we're talking still 8 people in a 3-bedroom house. But your mother, of course, had her own room, and we had a room, and then all the kids were squeezed into into a box again. Our kids have been troopers, to go through all this. So we lived with your mother for a year almost?
Yeah, almost a year.
Almost a year. I didn't get a job for 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah, because
It was,
the jobs here are non-existent for the most part.
yeah, it was a nightmare. I was way overqualified for a lot of crap.
Which is
And
weird because this is a small town, and where we came from, you could find a job. You could find a job at a lot of different places, but here
you
there
can't
was
you can't even get hired at a McDonald's here. I mean, it's horrible.
nobody was calling back.
It was horrible, and I'd get excuses like, "Well, you'll be bored," because I come from a a semi-professional work is what I was doing before. Something where I was wearing a collar, and didn't have a name tag and things like that. And it took a while to find somebody who would give me an opportunity to do something, you know. But I ended up working down here doing some repair work, which was, oh my God, it was hard. But anyway, did that for, I mean, the job itself wasn't hard. It was just a lot of hours, but whatever. Anyway, but we finally got something, and this is where the Most High had a plan, and that's the only way I can describe it. The Most High had a plan, I believe, from the very beginning, but we got down here because of when this all took place. And if you want to know when it happened, all you have to do is look back at our channel, and you'll see we're making videos, and then they just stop. They just boom, they just stop, and that's when it happened. But anyway, so we started because of when it happened. We got our tax money in,
Right.
and because we have a bunch of kids, we get a little bit of tax money back, and we started trying to look for a place to live.
Mm-hmm.
So we finally are able to. Oh, look, we found a place. All right, we find this place, and it's got a greenhouse in it. It's got enough rooms. Oh, it's perfect. This may actually work. So we talk about it. And, hey, what do you think? Yeah, maybe. Oh, I think this is going to be it. We call about it, and somebody else already bought it. It's like right off the bat. But it was, we thought it was going to be perfect, but it would have been far away from your mother. We would have been alone again.
Well, the thing is that it was a very nice house, but not the land. There was always something, and of course, we weren't able to get it.
Yeah, that's it.
Until we finally found the place that we have. Now we have 3.5 acres.
Right.
And we have goats and sheep and chickens and.
But let's talk about this place
Only
first.
one duck has survived. It's sad, really.
Yeah, but let's talk about this for a moment, because this place, we got it on Craigslist. I mean, that's the way to describe it. I mean, we actually got it on. You were just looking through Craigslist and found it.
Right.
And like I said, the Most High had a plan, because all the other places we were going to have to finance it some sort of way, whatever it may happen to be. And this one, the person who sold it to us was willing to finance with us.
Not only that, when this so-called sickness started going on, it would have been a lot harder for us to live where we were because of the laws that they had enacted there than it was for us where we are now. So.
Absolutely. So, like I said, I keep harping on this point. The Most High had a plan, because He made it possible for us to get it. We were the only ones who asked for it at the time. He made sure that we had just enough to pay for it to get our down payment and stuff together for it, and He was willing to finance it Himself for it. And it's got 3 acres. It's got quite a bit of land. It's got a little bit of everything.
And all of the trying to fix up the farmhouse has helped us, because of course this place needed work too. So
And
we're
now,
still horrible at it, but we've gotten quite a bit better.
it's livable. We've worked it out. It's by far one of the largest places we've ever been in,
Right.
but it's also the cheapest place we've ever worked with. That was actually attainable. Um, the farm, the first farm we were on was dirt cheap because somebody else owned it. But this one, we actually are able to work on it ourselves. And, the thing is, the Most High, over the last, we've been here for 2 years.
Well, we've been here for about 2 years, so I'm a little nervous because it was every 2 years after we can make this work, we can do this. We ended up having to move, so I'm a little nervous right now. If we stop, if we stop putting up videos for a long time, you'll know that
Something else has happened.
we've had to move again. So.
No, but the biggest thing about our walk, if I kind of wrap this together, because now, talking about this place, the garden does not work.
No.
You cannot grow where we are, and leaving that out, but you cannot grow food. You can't grow it.
Well, I don't know if you can't grow it. It's where we came from. We had, deep, rich soil, and I knew how to do that, kinda. That was okay. But where we are now, we have sand, and I don't know how to do sand. So our garden was a complete and utter failure. We tried in the ground. We tried raised beds, and
Nothing.
yeah, it didn't
Nothing
work out
works.
for us at all.
But on the other hand, we have animals again.
Right, and I have learned to compost.
But animals are outstanding here.
Well, yeah, they've done pretty good. Our goats have been doing pretty good. We had babies, and so it's doing pretty. It's doing pretty good. I don't want to say too much because I understand that it can turn at any moment, and
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest things that we've learned is it doesn't matter how much you prepare or what you try. You know, something can come through and just take it all away, and you just have to roll with it and keep going. I believe that God does everything for a reason, and that reason is for my benefit. Even though I can tell you that it has not felt that way a lot of times, especially dealing with his mother over the last 20 years. I've been 21 years, 21 long years I've been dealing with her. It has not felt like it a lot of times. And when you're in the midst of the storm, it just, sometimes you feel like you can't breathe, you're going to drown, and you just want to give up. But having faith and that God is doing this for my benefit helps me to keep going. And I think that is what everyone needs to do is, sometimes you look at a person, you say, well, they're having bad times because they must be doing something wrong. And that is the case sometimes, but it's not always the case. Sometimes God is trying to teach you something or prepare you for something. And the world is getting worse and things are coming. And if God has taught us that we shouldn't be so attached to stuff.
Yes. Now, see, I want to kind of wrap up this look back with a slightly different look back. I want to talk about Sukkot this year. So this year we did Sukkot, and because of where we happen to be at, and doing Sukkot before, this was the time that we spent the most time and effort. The kids are now old enough to really chip in and build, and we built a huge Sukkot this year, and it's the most sturdy, well crafted Sukkot we have ever made. It's It had pallet walls. It had a floor. I mean, it had a fire pit in it. The whole bit, right? And it lasted one day. The first day we did Sukkot, it poured. It absolutely poured that very first day. And we were going to sleep in it or try to sleep in it. We did. Did we sleep in it for a little bit?
We slept in it for a little bit, but then we kept getting ate up
Right.
by something. I don't know what it was, but I had never itched so bad in my life.
Well, the way I'm going to put it is this: the Most High told us, "Get out of the Sukkot." Yes, you built it. Get out. And so I don't know what time. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning. We all packed up our stuff and ran in the house. And it started. It was already raining, and the Sukkot just collapsed. Absolutely collapsed.
Broke in half.
I mean, it was gone. We looked out there the next morning, and it was just a blue tarp laying on the ground. I mean, it was totally gone. And it was raining that day too. So if you think about Sukkot, it starts off on a Sabbath. The next day is a Sabbath. So we couldn't work on it until 3 days later. You know, it'd fallen 2 days. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and plus it was storming that whole time. So
right. So we go out there and we rebuild it. And it took us 2 days, I think, to put it, a day or so, whatever, to get it back together. And the Most High blessed us from that moment on with clear skies. Even though the forecast said it was going to pour, said it was going to be horrible. Clear skies, cleared out the bugs. I mean, I don't think I got bit again the whole time we were out there. It gave us plenty of wood for the fire pit that we had in there so we could cook in the Sukkot. We stayed in the Sukkot for the rest of the time, reading out of the book of Sirach, with the kids. It was great. But as I look at the events of Sukkot, it really reminds me of a lot of what we went through. We, at each step after becoming Israelites, we started trying to plan how our life was going to work. Oh, we've got this house and it's big and we're going to put a big garden outside and we're going to do all this. And he took it away. And, okay, all right, we've gotten to another place. All right, we're at a farm and it's great and we're going to put all this stuff in it, and he took it away. So this seems to be kind of a theme,
Yeah, but each time we consistently trusted in the Most High. We consistently were building our ark. We were stacking stuff up, preparing with canned food and trying to get water and bandages and anything that we could think of that we might need during a time, a famine or whatever might happen, and we would lose it all in the transition from one place to another. And here we are now, and we've got the goats and the sheep and the chickens, and we're got some canned goods put up and different non-perishables, and we're collecting water, but I don't have faith in any of that. And to me, it really doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's not if I use it, if I'm going to have it, if I'm going to keep it, or if I'm gonna, or whatever. It is the fact that my faith is having me do it, but I don't depend on that, because the Most High could take it all away and I will still be okay, because he loves me. And if you're an Israelite following him, he loves you too. So I believe you should prepare, but don't depend on it. Don't think that your preparing is going to do something for you, because it's the Most High who is going to take care of you no matter what.
Absolutely. And if our life has shown anything, it is literally that, because he's taken it all multiple times. Far more than once, he's taken everything that we've put aside, used, or had. But he's brought us to this place and really given us an opportunity to share the things we have and build a life. And it's been a pretty bumpy road.
It's been humbling.
True, true. Um, but hopefully, this story can help you with your day-to-day decisions because, as you can see, hopefully that we've been able to show you that there's other people who have gone through all kinds of things. Calamity after calamity, building things up. Sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's garbage. Life can be all types of things.
Right, and this is just the tip of the iceberg as to the things that we've had to go through and endure. But it's not about if since I'm here making this video, I made it through, so that's okay.
Right.
And we hope that our testimony can, find someone and help them to keep their strength up and understand that sometimes you gotta go through shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's lessons or wisdom that you need to have, and maybe that lesson is for you, or maybe it's for someone else. But we all have struggles that we have to go through, and will help to keep someone on that narrow path.
Absolutely. So, thank you all so very much for spending a little bit of time listening to us go through our lives. I know this one was pretty long, but thank you. And hopefully, if you've made it this far, please leave a like or a comment. Let us know what you think. Maybe sharing whatever you've gone through or something to that effect. Thank you so very much for taking this time out. So hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, a like,
A dislike?
any of those type of things. Let us know that you're out there. And thank you so very much. Do you have anything else?
Kwame Yasharala.
Bye.